The 10 most disturbing body horror films ever made. Body horror is one of the most unsettling subgenres of horror cinema. Rather than relying solely on jump scares or external monsters, it turns the human body itself into the source of fear. These films explore transformation, loss of control, and the fragility of physical identity, often forcing audiences to confront discomfort on a deeply personal level. The following 10 films stand out as some of the most disturbing examples ever made, not just for their shocking imagery, but for the ideas and emotions they provoke.
Oh, I missed you, Mr. Tusk.
Tusk, 2014. Kevin Smith's Tusk is one of the strangest and most divisive entries in modern body horror. The film follows a brash American podcaster who travels to Canada to interview an eccentric older man. What begins as a quirky encounter quickly turns into a nightmare when the podcaster becomes the subject of the man's disturbing obsession. The horror of Tusk lies in its absurdity as much as its cruelty. The protagonist is gradually forced into a grotesque physical transformation that strips away his humanity, both literally and metaphorically. Smith blends dark comedy with extreme discomfort, creating a tone that is intentionally confusing. Viewers may find themselves laughing one moment and recoiling the next. Despite its bizarre premise, Tusk explores serious themes such as identity, exploitation, and the consequences of arrogance. Its disturbing power comes from the idea that a human being can be reshaped, redefined, and reduced to something unrecognizable, all under the justification of another person's twisted logic. Teeth, 2007. Teeth, directed by Mitchell Lichtenstein, takes a well-known myth and reimagines it as a modern body horror story with a sharp social message. The film centers on a teenage girl raised with strict ideas about purity and self-control, whose life changes dramatically when she discovers something frightening and unusual about her own body. Rather than treating its premise purely as shock value, Teeth uses dark humor and horror to explore themes of bodily autonomy, fear, and power. The protagonist's condition becomes both a curse and a form of protection, forcing her to navigate a world that repeatedly violates her boundaries. What makes Teeth disturbing is not just its concept, but how it blends discomfort with empowerment. The film challenges traditional horror tropes by shifting control away from those who would normally dominate, making it a unique and unsettling entry in the genre. The Thing, 1982. John Carpenter's The Thing is widely regarded as one of the greatest horror films ever made and a defining example of body horror. Set in an isolated research station in Antarctica, the film follows a group of scientists who encounter a mysterious extraterrestrial organism capable of perfectly imitating any living being. The terror of The Thing is rooted in paranoia and mistrust. Because the creature can replicate human bodies, no one knows who is still themselves and who has already been taken over. This uncertainty creates a suffocating atmosphere where fear spreads faster than the creature itself. The film's groundbreaking practical effects showcase horrifying physical transformations that remain effective decades later. More importantly, The Thing uses body horror to explore existential fears, the loss of individuality, the collapse of trust, and the idea that the enemy may already be inside us.
What the fuck?
Slither, 2006. James Gunn's Slither is a rare example of a body horror film that fully embraces humor without diminishing its impact. Set in a quiet small town, the story begins when an alien parasite arrives on Earth and begins infecting the local population. As the parasite spreads, human bodies are altered in increasingly grotesque ways, turning ordinary townspeople into something monstrous. While the film is filled with exaggerated visuals and over-the-top moments, it never lets the audience forget the horror beneath the comedy. Slither pays tribute to classic B-movie science fiction while using modern effects to push body horror to uncomfortable extremes. Its effectiveness comes from the contrast between its playful tone and the disturbing loss of bodily control experienced by its characters. Possessor, 2020. Directed by Brandon Cronenberg, Possessor continues the legacy of his father, David Cronenberg, by focusing on the intersection of technology, identity, and the human body. The film follows an assassin who uses advanced technology to take control of other people's bodies in order to carry out killings. As the story progresses, the boundaries between the assassin and her hosts begin to blur. The physical and psychological consequences of body sharing become increasingly violent and disorienting, leading to a breakdown of identity on both sides. Possessor is disturbing not only because of its brutality, but because of its ideas. It raises unsettling questions about free will, consciousness, and what it truly means to inhabit a body. The horror comes from the erosion of self as characters lose control over their own physical existence. Society, 1989. Brian Yuzna's Society is a satirical body horror film that uses grotesque imagery to comment on class and privilege. The story follows a wealthy teenager who begins to suspect that his family and their social circle are hiding a horrifying secret. As the truth is revealed, the film descends into surreal and shocking territory, featuring some of the most infamous body horror sequences of the 1980s. These moments are intentionally exaggerated, blending disgust with dark comedy. At its core, Society uses physical distortion as a metaphor for social inequality. The elite quite literally feed off others, reinforcing the idea that power and wealth come at a terrible cost. The film's final act is unforgettable, both for its imagery and its biting social commentary. Hellraiser, 1987. Clive Barker's Hellraiser introduced audiences to a uniquely disturbing vision of horror, one that blurs the line between pain and pleasure. The film revolves around a mysterious puzzle box that opens a gateway to beings known as the Cenobites. These otherworldly figures believe suffering is a path to enlightenment, and their methods are as horrifying as they are ritualistic. The film's body horror is deeply tied to themes of desire, obsession, and moral corruption. What makes Hellraiser so unsettling is its refusal to clearly separate pleasure from punishment. The physical torment endured by its characters is portrayed as a consequence of unchecked desire, turning the body into a site of both temptation and destruction. The Human Centipede, first sequence. 2009. Few films have gained a reputation as infamous as The Human Centipede. Directed by Tom Six, the film follows a deranged surgeon who kidnaps strangers to carry out a deeply disturbing medical experiment. The horror of the film lies largely in its concept, which is designed to provoke discomfort and revulsion. While the first installment is less explicit than its sequels, it still relies heavily on the fear of forced bodily alteration and complete loss of autonomy. The Human Centipede is disturbing because it removes all dignity from its victims, reducing them to components in a grotesque experiment. The film has become a cultural reference point for extreme horror, often cited as a test of how much discomfort an audience can endure. Tetsuo, The Iron Man, 1989. Shinya Tsukamoto's Tetsuo, The Iron Man is a surreal and aggressive entry in the body horror genre. Shot in stark black and white, the film follows a man who begins to undergo a terrifying transformation as metal gradually overtakes his flesh. The film's frantic pacing and industrial imagery create a sense of constant unease. Rather than offering clear explanations, Tetsuo immerses viewers in a nightmarish world where technology and humanity collide. Often interpreted as a commentary on industrialization and modern alienation, Tetsuo uses body horror to depict the loss of humanity in an increasingly mechanical world. The result is chaotic, disturbing, and deeply memorable. The Fly, 1986. David Cronenberg's The Fly is one of the most emotionally devastating examples of body horror. The film follows a brilliant scientist who invents a teleportation device and decides to test it on himself, with disastrous consequences. What makes The Fly so disturbing is the gradual nature of the transformation. Rather than shocking the audience all at once, the film allows viewers to witness the slow deterioration of both body and mind. At its heart, The Fly is a tragic love story. The horror comes not only from the physical changes, but from watching someone lose themselves while the people who care about them can do nothing to stop it. It remains one of the most powerful and heartbreaking films in the genre. Conclusion: these 10 films demonstrate the wide range and enduring power of body horror. From satirical social critiques to tragic explorations of identity and loss, each uses physical transformation as a way to explore deeper fears about humanity, control, and existence. While disturbing, these films are memorable precisely because they challenge audiences to confront what it means to live inside a fragile, ever-changing body.
Here they come.